G'day guys, welcome back. I am still playing with my Caribbean sunset pours. So it's still my birthday, and thank you so much for everyone for your beautiful birthday wishes. Really appreciate it. My last pour, as you know, well, hopefully you know, I added 2 cups of this navy. And while it was a very, very pretty pour, I lost this yellow that I really liked, and it just looked more blue. So I'm going to go again because I can, because it's my birthday. I get to play in my studio and paint all day. So yay, just what I wanted to do. So I'm going to go again and try for those colours again with more of the yellow. My other one, it's just sitting down there on the floor under its net. It's fine. I still love it. So I'm not going to scrape it or anything, but I just want to have another go with trying to get some more of the brighter colours in. You know, sunsets are bright. And I thought about adding maybe some orange and some red, but then, you know, you get into the world of red and blues making purples, and I just didn't want to go that way. I love the colours that I used. I just want to go again bigger, bigger and better, get some better cells. That mix that I showed you on that little one, it was a little bit thick. Now, pouring medium, same as usual, 70% glue, 30% water. That one's Elmer's glue oil, but you can use school glue or any white craft glue. You may have to change the consistency a little bit because different glues tend to have different consistencies. The global glue is really thin and I have to thicken it up. The other thing I've added is this Liquitex Flow Aid, and I put it in a big bottle and I mix that 10 parts water to 1 part Flow Aid. You can actually do 20 to 1, but I thought, hey, a little bit's good, a lot must be better. Maybe not, but I just put it in there. And then if I have to make my mix thinner, I just add a little dollop of that. And it's supposed to just help with the binders and the flowing, and seems to be working. I haven't had any sort of split paint recently, so that's been good. I made my paints just ever so slightly thinner. On that last one, I just felt that my yellow and my red oxide were a little bit thick. Remember, I was trying to torch them and I wasn't getting cells up through there. Okay, so it's 3 seconds. Do a ribbon. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It should be gone. 1, 2, 3. It should be gone after 3 seconds, or at 3 seconds. You want your ribbon across the top to be gone skis. And then I know that I've got a good mix. If it's taking 4 seconds to vanish, then add a little bit more of your water. Right, so 3 cups of white instead of 2 cups of white and 2 cups of navy. So hopefully this will give me a better result, what I'm after. I'm going to add my treadmill silicone. The spot on one is the one that I use. I just get this from eBay. I think it comes from the States. It probably is about maybe $60 for the bottle, including shipping. But, you know, that'll last you a year. So don't be afraid to use what works. What works for me anyway. 5 in there. I'm not going to do the white. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get in there. Oops. I think that was 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's got a little hair on it. 5. I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is a 40 by 80 centimeter canvas, which is a 16 by 32 inch. It's a nice big one. The one that I did before, I did 5 big cups. This one's got 6 smaller cups. These are my medium-sized cups. This yellow feels thicker than the red. The red oxide was a little bit thin, actually. I had to add an extra blob. My cups have pretty much all got 100 grams of pouring medium and 90 grams of paint. Just to be a little on the thinner side, and then they've all had a little splash of water. The white I've had to add less paint. It's really thick. The new batch of Global that's come out is really thick. Oh, I'm going to show you my birthday cake. I'm going to nom nom on this while I'm talking to you. White chocolate mud cake. No one's going to make me a cake. I have to make my own. So, and one of my favourites is a white chocolate mud cake. And you can't, I don't think you can actually buy a really good one. And that's nice and moist. I hate that word, but it is. There's nothing worse than a dry mud cake. And this one actually tastes of white chocolate. It's got white chocolate melted in. It's got white chocolate frosting on the top. Or ganache, so yum yum. Yeah, no one's going to make me a birthday cake. I've got to make my own. That is so good. Yummo. All right. Let's layer this while I'm chewing. So half my white in there. I'm going to do 2 layers. And if you put your cups close enough together, you can just sort of run over. You don't have to actually stop. So just make them so that they're touching each other. And it'll just go a little bit faster for you. So I'm going to flip 3 one way. I'm going to turn the canvas and flip the other 3 the other way. So having a really good day so far. Yeah, husband's home. As you probably know, he works away. Dave works up at the mines. And he's home. He's actually taken an extra week off because he's away for 2 weeks. And then he's only home for 1 week. But he's taken an extra week off. And we're just working around the house. We're still working on getting our granny flat downstairs finished off. So today I've got a carpenter down there and I've got a electrician down there, but Dave's kind of taking care of any questions they may have and leaving me to paint. So this is my second pour for the day, and it is 10 past 12, just after midday. So I'll do this one and then I'd go and sit with my doggies and watch a movie. I do like my movies. And then going out this evening to dinner with the family, with Dave and my daughter Gemma, my youngest, and her boyfriend Cody, and my son Shane and his fiancée Tash. Not that they're watching these videos, but hi family. Oh, and my parents, they'll be there too. So we're all doing that tonight, which will be lovely. I just get to spend the day as I wish, painting. Oh, Dave went to Bunnings today, which was, you know, it's our hardware store. He had to get a few things for the builder. And he came back with, guess, yes, 2 big bottles of Floetrol for me. So I was pretty happy with that. Because he said to me, what do you want for your birthday? And I said, look, there's nothing I want. You know, there's nothing I need. If I need something during the year, I'll go and get it. You know, and I don't need any jewellery, clothes. Well, I buy them myself. I don't like people buying me clothes. There's nothing I need. And, you know, if there is something I need, well, I could do with a new tablet. You know, like I like the Galaxy Note, the tablet, but, you know, they're expensive. So I really didn't need anything, or a new computer, but again, they're expensive. So I said, look, I don't want anything. You know, I go and I buy paint, canvas, glue. Every couple of weeks I'm buying something, you know. I spend a couple of $100 every couple of weeks on supplies. And I sort of don't feel as if I should be asking for anything because I am spending so much money on paint. But I love it. It's my hobby. I really enjoy it. So I said, yeah, I don't really want anything, hun. Just take me out for dinner. Lovely dinner. That'll be nice today. So I got a big surprise when he came home with my 2 bottles of Floetrol. Right, that's the navy gone. I'm hoping I've got enough space in these cups. And I decided to do 6 cups this time rather than the 5 because I want to really try and get my stripies. That way you get that sort of layered sunset look. The sunsets tend to be in stripes, I think. You know, you get your light colours, your dark colours. And I just think that they look nice in stripes, so that's what I'm going for. And 6 cups would give me more stripes than 5 cups. And I thought if I do 6 big cups, they're only going to be half full, which means when I flip them over, the paint's going to run down. And when it runs down, it kind of blends more. So when you're doing this style of painting, you're better off having a cup that's going to pretty much take all your paint. You don't want to have a flip cup that's only half full, because as I said, when you turn it over, it's all going to run down and it's going to start to blend, and you don't really want it to do that. So try for cups that are going to hold all your paint, or as much as your paint as possible, not half full. Oh, I'm running out of my red oxide. Scrape you out. This little cup hasn't got very much, so I'm going to have to get as much out as I can of that one. But I want another bite of cake. That's my lunch. Cake for lunch. I'll have to wipe my hands again before I can touch my fork. Hang on one sec. Let me have another bite. Yummo. All right. I don't know if I told you guys that I made a cookbook of all my favourite recipes. It took me a year and a half to do, and I typed them all up, cooked everything, baked it, took photos of it, uploaded it to Memento, it's a company, and then they send you back a book, and like a holiday book, but it's a recipe book. So I've got all my favourite recipes in there, including this one, the white chocolate mud cake. I've got a chocolate mud cake, a caramel mud cake, the white chocolate mud cake, and then I experiment and I work out, you know, the best, or what I think is the best chocolate mud cake. And then I write it all down, very similar to my pouring actually. You know, I'll experiment until I get the right thing, write it down, and then do the same thing. So I've been making this chocolate mud cake for a long time, and it's in my recipe book. I just made it for myself. I think I made 5 copies, one each for my kids, one for me, one for my mum. And yeah, so we've each got all my favourite recipes. I'm going to take you up and you can just have a look at this. I'll show you the consistency of this cake. I know there's a lot of bakers out there. Look at that. What's that for a mud cake, hey? There's the frosting. What's a ganache? But it's really nice and yummy. I might have to do a video on how to make a white chocolate mud cake, hey? Now I want to just put some white over the top, because when I flip these over, my yellow is going to get lost. It's going to get stuck onto the bottom of the canvas. I don't really want to lose all my yellow. So if I do this, it'll be the white that gets stuck on the bottom of the canvas. I don't even know what this white is. I just found it. I go by smell. It smells the same as Global, what I'm using, so I'm hoping it's the right thing. Otherwise I'm in trouble. Let me have some more cake. I'm going to flip these babies. Okay. One. See, when I put them here, and then I move one down, and then flip it backwards, I get a different look. If I just flip this here, it'll be the same as flipping that there. It must have something to do with me dragging it across. Maybe, do you think? It gives me that different look. There's my center bar there. So I'm going to flip 3 this way, and then I'll turn and I'll flip the other way. I'll just give that a minute. I have sprayed all my cups with the silicone spray and given them a wipe with my paper towel. So they should release nicely. So that's the white that was on the top. So that's good. I'm not like losing a colour. I'd rather lose the white on the bottom than a colour. Just smooth those blobs out. All right, are we ready? Let's do this. Flip and drag. Got to drag all the way down here. It's a relatively fast drag. That's probably a little bit too fast. That one was better controlled. Although when I go slower, I get this blobby bit in the middle. All right, now let me just pour some of this out over my corner there. I'm going to tip that off anyway, but I'd rather have it covered. Now, I'm going to turn it around without getting it all over myself. I've got my little marks there, so I know where to put it. Bring that back. Oh, gorgeous. Put some of this on the corner. Just let it flow out on its own. There we go. Just wipe my hands. Oh, that one's got a bit of green happening in it. The blue and the yellow obviously do give you a little bit of green. I hope I haven't made this too thin now. I added an extra splash of water. Okay, here we go. 6 flip and drags. There's always a little bit of paint left in your cup, but you know, you can't get every single little bit out. And once it's been flipped over and then flipped back, you don't want to use it again, it gets muddy. All right, I'll tell you about the colours real quick. White, not that you can see the white label. Naples yellow, red oxide, peacock, that's the pale turquoise, and deep space is my navy blue. Now, I'm going to tilt this a little bit to cover, because I don't want to tilt it. If I had to torch now and then try and tilt all that way, my cells are going to get this big, and then you have to tilt them all that way, so they're going to get even bigger. So try and cover half your canvas before you start torching, just so that your cells don't grow too big. Come on, little area, come on. Off you go. You always end up losing a lot of paint over that first side, and then bring the weight of the paint back to the middle a little bit to stop it all running off. Now this is much thinner than my previous mix was. Remember I said I added 100 grams of pouring medium and 90 grams of paint instead of 1 to 1. I did want to see what would happen with just a little bit thinner. Just see if I can get some more definition definition to my cells. If your mix is too thick, you get blurry cells and they kind of go a little bit fuzzy if your mix is too thick. Okay. Hang on, more cake. All right. Now I just want to cover a little bit more. I just found that on my last pour, I think I overstretched some of my cells. So I'll just leave it at that and then I'll torch. And then I've only got a little way to tilt. It doesn't mean you can't tilt anymore. You still can tilt by all means. Now this mix is a bit thinner, so it should be quite reactive. So nice and high. Shouldn't have the trouble that I had last time where I couldn't get any cells up in an area because that was a little bit too thick. That white may be a little bit, there's a lot of white there, that may be a bit of an issue, but I don't mind having some block colours by all means. I don't mind that at all. Looks like I'm getting really pretty cells coming up now. My yellow's not as thick this time. So the cells aren't having trouble coming up through that thick paint. That red there, the red oxide, that's working nicely. Just make sure that you haven't left too much area to tilt, otherwise you're going to overstretch your cells as you start tilting them. So cover most of it first. I personally think, you know, you're better off having smaller, prettier cells than having huge big ones that have been overstretched. So this is why I tend to cover most of the canvas first before I torch, because then I know I'm not going to overstretch my cells. Not unless you get crazy with your tilting. You just have to be careful of your tilting, and you've got to be careful with your torching. Don't over torch. You don't want too many cells. As I said, less, prettier, smaller cells are going to look much nicer than too many big overstretched cells that are all bumping into each other, because they lose their round shape and then end up with rectangles and squares and all different shaped cells if they're all bumping into each other. Not getting much through this white here. I may have to torch that afterwards, after I've stretched it out. The white, I mean, I did thin it out more than the other paints because it is so much thicker, but still having a bit of trouble getting the cells to come up through that white. But that's okay, I will just, and the same here, I'll torch afterwards, after I've stretched them, see if I can get some more cells to pop up. Sure, I'll be able to. Okay, I think that's probably about it. Maybe a little bit more up here. There we go. Just a few more. Okay. Cells are looking really pretty. Makes a real difference if your mix is slightly thinner. You get that beautiful ring around them and you don't get the haziness. Alright, let's go for it. Now I don't want to just go straight down because the cells will just go elongated. If you go left to right, they kind of stretch that way as well as that way, and hopefully they'll keep their round shape. But this is when you need to go slow. I see some people and they just tip so fast. Like, don't do that. There's no reason why you have to go fast. Just take your time. Watch where the paint's going. So I'm basically just zigzagging it up and down. I'm just looking at it to see if I want to tip any more off at the moment. I think what I'll do is I'm going to torch into that white now. Oh my goodness, look at those cells. Yes, they're not as big as the previous ones were, but they're prettier. I personally like the rounder cells, the smaller, rounder cells. And if you overstretch, you know, they're just going to get too big. So now I'm just torching in this white here and this white here to see if I can get anything to come up now that I've stretched it out a little bit. These have popped up. I want to leave some backgrounds. I want just a mass of cells. You know me. If you guys have been following me, you know me. Let's see if I can get rid of that little caterpillar thing there. I really don't have much in the way of caterpillars. There's that little guy there. Little tiny one there. But really, it's not a concern. And again, I don't want to just go straight down. Go side to side and down at the same time. See, very, very slowly. See, that caterpillar's gone now. And then slowly back. Oh my goodness, look at it. It is so pretty. I wish I could get the other one up off the ground to show you, but I'm not going to because it's wet, and if I hold it over this one, it's probably going to drip onto this one. I'm just not going to do it. Love it. I think I love this one better than this morning's one. What do you think? So I've changed two things. Oh, I don't like what I've done there. I'm just going to put some plain turquoise over the top. I changed two things. I made my mix slightly thinner, and because I made it thinner, I had to be careful with my tilting. So I pretty much covered the whole thing first before I started torching. The other thing I did was, what did I do? Made the mix, that's right, I made the mix thinner. I made the mix thinner, covered most of the surface, and so I didn't have to overstretch everything. And can you see the difference? Hopefully you can see the difference. Just going to cover my corners. Only a very, very small area that hasn't been covered. So I'm just going to do that, match the colours. I'm having a wonderful day. I'm so happy that this has worked. Yesterday, oh my gosh, I scraped like 3 canvases yesterday. And I was thinking to myself, if my birthday pour doesn't work, I'm going to be really upset. And I'm going to be grumpy. I'm going to be in a bad mood for the rest of the day. Do you guys get like that if you do a bad pour? Do you get angry with yourself and grumpy? You think, oh, why didn't it work? But you follow all these little tips that I'm giving you today, and it should help. So basically, it's really important. Your torching and your tilting is so important. Obviously, the consistency of your paint. Do the 3-second little rule. See how that goes. You know, some people say it should be the consistency of warm honey. Well, unless you're going to go and get some honey and warm it up, and then, I don't know, honey's a thick mix anyway. I don't see how saying warm honey is really helpful. I'm sorry, but it's not for me anyway. I'm more scientific. I need it to, you know, do this in this amount of time. So that's how I do it anyway. And I write down everything that I do. So in my book, on the table behind this table, I have a book, and I've written up, you know, the name of this pour, the size of the canvas, the number of cups I used, the amount of paint I used, how much paint I've got in each cup, the number of flip cups. I'm very methodical so that I can get the same results over and over again. So let's see where the weight of the paint is. Okay, I don't want to move it. It's sort of about there. Happy with that. Yeah, so smaller cells this time, but they are really gorgeous. You know what I'm going to do? I want to show you the other one. I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to pick it up. Here we go. Oh, it's still really pretty. Please don't drip into my painting. Please don't drip. There it is. Okay, see how it's darker? That one's lighter. Now look at the size of the cells on that one. They're relatively small, but they're round. Note the roundness of them. Now see these ones? They're a little bit more elongated and not as round. So that's the difference. I kind of overstretched this one a little bit. I'm just going to put it away. Put its big net back over it. I have these big food nets over my paintings to keep the bugs off. I guess this one's got more white in it. Now I found that extra half a cup of white that I wasn't planning on using, so it's probably dulled the paint down a little bit because I added that extra white. But I think it's still really, really pretty. I'm just going to take you down for a close-up. That's the other one. Mix was a bit thick. See, I haven't got definite rings around my cells. This was a different mix though. This was, I was trying the Floetrol out again. But I do prefer my glue and water mix. This one. All right. Doesn't really look so much like a sunset, but it's still really pretty. That's the other one down there under the net. All right, let's start from here. I don't think I'll be able to reach all the way up. It's pretty big. So a lovely background. Cells have got multiple rings. There's that big blob there, but that was just one of the cells that had grown. I mean, it like appeared before I even torched, so it stretched. But you can imagine, like, if I had torched straight away, all my cells would be that size, that big size. And I don't want that. I want little cute cells. I like them to be separate, have space around them like that, because they kind of look as if they're just floating, don't they? So if I'd stretched this more, those would have grown, they would have all bumped into each other. Look at those ones. Oops, it's a bit dark. So yeah, really, really pretty. Happy with this. Well, 2 successful pours. I like the other one because it was a bit darker, but I didn't like it so much because the cells were overstretched. This one, my cells are just beautiful. Yes, they're a little bit smaller. I guess I could have stretched them a little bit more, but I was worried about overstretching them. Look at that. It's got red ring and then white and then turquoise and then red in the middle again. Look, there he is. Where is he? That one just there. Hello, little cell. Really stuck my finger in you. So depending on which pouring medium you use, like if you use GAC 800, you get a different type of cell. You don't tend to get singular cells like this. They kind of join up. And you might get little guys that look like that one. Where am I pointing to? See that little guy there? How he's a twin cell? And that little guy just there. Hello. I mean, those are just random cells, but certain pouring mediums will give you that type of cell, and I don't particularly like those sorts of cells, so I stay away from the GAC. For me personally, I just like the glue and water mix. Works well, and I can change the consistency. This paint, as I told you at the beginning of the video, has got some of the Liquitex Flow Aid in it, and yeah, it's worked. It's hard to say, you know, what it's done, but I don't have any split paint. I don't have any grainy, hazy cells. That is also down to the fact that I made my mix a little bit thinner. You know, if your mix is too thick, when you try and stretch your cells, they can't stretch because it's just too thick, and they kind of get that grainy, hazy look. So if that's happening to you, make your mix thinner. But if you're going to make your mix thinner, make sure that you've tilted most of your surface to cover it before you start torching. Otherwise, your thin mix will just really stretch out your cells. So there you go, something to be aware of. All right, I think I've talked enough now, 37 minutes. All right, love you all. Thanks for the lovely birthday wishes. And I'm going to go and sit down and relax now for the rest of the day. Okay, bye for now.